Anil Antony, the opposition says that Dharmendra Pradhan, as the education minister, was trying to cover up or downplay the magnitude of this paper leak. Mallikarjun Kharge has actually accused the chairman in Rajya Sabha of a stepmotherly treatment. They're raising the point that Jagdeep Dhankad gave the opposition a cold shoulder. And that is why, somebody as senior as Mallikarjun Kharge was forced to go into the well of the house to make a point. Sir, is the government only holding on because the government does not want to yield any ground to the opposition to send across that message? You may have more than 200, but the government will not yield an inch.
Thank you, Gaurav. Even before the parliament session, our education minister, he had a press conference where he had answered every single question the press was asking to him. We are very willing to, again, our government has made it very clear that we are always willing to debate on this issue. We understand that this is of great concern, and we've taken a lot of actions in the last 7, 8 days. And we understand that this is a very large country. There will be flaws in some of the systems. And if we understand that there are flaws, we will rectify it. But if you look at how our opposition has been working in the last 1 month, you will understand this is not an opposition that is having any constructive mindset when they are raising any issue. Let us again look at the whole perspective after the election. This is an election where for the first time, this is just the second time in India's history, a prime minister came back for the third time. This was our third best result for the BJP, all led by our prime minister. This is the Congress's third worst performance ever in history, all led by Rahul Gandhi. Yet they have come to this parliament session with this perceived sense of strength and this confidence and arrogance, which actually shouldn't be there. Let's say, just look at what they are doing in this. In each of those 4 days, today was supposed to be the discussion on the presidential address, but they want to raise this NEET issue. Before the session itself, they were contentious on the appointment of the speaker. The speaker's election also, the last 50 years, it was all built on consensus. But this time the Congress didn't want to have any consensus. They forced an election. And again, you saw the outcome also, where finally after forcing an election, there was a voice vote because most of the allies didn't like their unilateral way of functioning. And now each day the Congress is coming to the parliament, they are coming to the house with some of their allies with this perceived sense of where they want to drive things, they want to disrupt things. They don't have
become a prestige issue, whether it's the government or the opposition. Rashid Kidwai, because the education minister Dharmendra Pradhan says he's prepared to make a statement on NEET exam paper leak. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju says there's a decorum, there is a norm, there will be a discussion on NEET. Is the opposition not keen on a discussion on NEET, but only to prove a point to the government that we are 235 this time, we will make you bend? It's not business as usual like 2014 and 2019. That's the crux of the issue and not NEET.
No, Gaurav, I think both sides are adamant. They don't want to concede. You see, there is trust deficit between the government and the opposition. All these things in the past also have happened, and there is always a business advisory committee or the parliamentary affairs minister and leaders of the house. They manage to, find a way out via media kind of thing. Here, there is no attempt. Here, the first attempt is to blame the other side. You see, my friend was mentioning, Mr. Anil Antony was mentioning about speaker selection. See, democracy is about numbers. It is about contest. It is not about consensus. This is very elementary. So if a opposition opted for a contest or for a speaker's post, there is nothing wrong in it. It's perfectly democratic. Mr. Antony is trying to make it look as if, opposition committed some kind of, wrong, or there was something that they should not have done. Precedence is different. The second thing is about NEET. It's not about what the government is doing. First of all, a question needs to be asked, ki chook kahan hui? See, this is a government of continuation, first term, second term, third term. So you cannot blame anyone else. And therefore, if the states are doing it, there should be, first of all, there should be admission a wrong has happened. Then we can go on step by step.
It's far serious, sir. Aparadh kahan hua? Aparadh kahan hua? Because Chuk, you're giving them benefit of doubt, and Rajat Sethi, this is sin. The manner in which the exam mafia played with the future of our country, of our students. But Rajat Sethi, Rahul Gandhi is leader of opposition in Lok Sabha. The opposition is alleging that his mic was switched off. Mallikarjun Kharge is leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha. He says he was forced to go into the well of the house just to be heard. Now, sir, is this a battle where the opposition is saying we have 235? It's not business as usual like it was in 2014 and 19. We will not buckle under pressure. And the government says we may be 240, but we are also 293. We will not buckle under pressure first.
So essentially, BJP also is not too used to dealing with a strong opposition or a opposition which is together putting up a number of 235. So I think for a fairly long time, 10 years is a long time, wherein BJP has been fairly successful in running these houses. But I personally feel that, Congress would want, and Congress-led opposition would want, especially at the outset, not to set the trajectory for the next 4 or 5 years so that confrontation becomes mainstream. They would not want the government to settle in at all. They are looking at state elections which will keep happening over the years and would want to further bolster its number even in the state. So I think the game is on right at the outset, and I don't think Congress would mend its way. They would go into the well of the house. They will break every single convention that is out there. I personally feel that the BJP will have to apply more tactics to sort of ensure the house keeps running. So a lot of unlearning and relearning will have to be done by the BJP, and expecting anything from the opposition would be foolhardy for the BJP.
Ms. Yadav, is this also your appreciation when the House meets on Monday? Will the opposition strategy remain the same? Insist on discussion on NEET, or follow the decorum as the Parliamentary Affairs Minister says? Discuss the presidential address, raise NEET within it, since the president also spoke of it.
See, our priority is paper leak. Our priority is youth. No, we don't want to do the blame game politics on the NEET issue, on the paper leak issue, but we want solution. And if we want to solution, and if we have to break the norms, we will do that, because the priority is our youth. And yes, it is true that government has formed a committee and CBI investigating it. But the majority of students who appeared in this exam, they are demanding the re-exam. They want to cancel this exam and they want to reconduct this exam. Why government is in denial mode? And when in Dharmendra Pradhan, his first statement was there is some error, there are some irregularities, but still he is not accepting the fact that paper is leaked. We want him to accept that paper is leaked. Student want to cancel this exam. Student wanted to reconduct this exam. Paper leak issue is our priority. If we have to break the rules and norms, we will break that. Yes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Anil Antony, it's actually the government's responsibility to ensure that the House is run efficiently and effectively. Will Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju reach out to the opposition? Will the government make an effort to find middle ground?
See, it is the government's responsibility, and it is the opposition's responsibility to ensure that the House functions well, because finally it is in our best interest, the people's best interest, where the people's issues are discussed in the Parliament.
Absolutely.
And sadly, you look at history, you look at the last 10 years, there was a lot of disruptions that happened in the Parliament only because the opposition, even with reduced numbers than this time again, they have 99 seats. The last time was 44 and 52 for the Congress party, even lesser numbers. But even with lesser numbers, the opposition was very, very adamant that many times they were staging walkovers, and most of the times they were not allowing discussions to happen in the Parliament. Our Bharatiya Janata Party, we are a democratic outfit. We want to ensure that people's issues are raised in the Parliament, and that is what even in the first 4 days we have been trying. We have been trying our best to ensure that a lot of our democratic traditions are followed, our democratic practices are followed. Our
Rashid Kidwai, is there a middle ground that's possible, or is the Congress strategy very clearly going to be disrupt, and don't let the government settle down at all? Though, what has the Congress been able to achieve? Because, you heard Anil Antony. He says, what has the Congress been able to get from 42 to 54 and then 99? Whether it's the pro tem speaker or the speaker, they couldn't have it their way. They didn't insist on division of votes because the Congress knows, or the opposition knows, they may raise a lot of noise, but ultimately they achieve little because government has the numbers.
Government's job is to, opposition's job is to oppose, to, opt for disruptions. And this is not my view. This was said by Sushma Swaraj. This was said by Arun Jaitley when they were leaders of opposition in the two houses. So this is a very, done thing. I think if the job of, a task of running the house is with the Prime Minister must lead from the front. If he makes any kind of conciliatory gesture or a goodwill gesture, we saw that, handshake that had happened during, when the speaker was being escorted. He requires to show some degree of, humility or acknowledge leader of opposition. I think that will go a long way in, having a sobering impact. Otherwise, if Mr. Anil Antony keeps calling, these 42, 55, 50, 44, 52, those 99, those kind of numbers, this is not going to help either the ruling party or the opposition. So there has to be a process of accommodation and understanding. The government is a bigger stakeholder, as John Stuart Mill had said, that the government has a right to have its way, or opposition has a right to have its say. So both sides, there is a middle ground, of course, and we have seen
very interesting. Absolutely, and I will let that be the last word on this part of the show. We'll be tracking the story very, very closely in the coming week too.